Lekan Babalola is one of the featured artists in our touring exhibition, Slanguages. These Yoruba sonnets draw references from around the world. And so there's this notion of language not being this fixed thing. And we just thought this is a really wonderful and important story for us to document and tell.
When I was in art college, you listen to poem and you listen to music. So I came across the music of John Coltrane. And the style of John Coltrane playing is very similar to the Yoruba verses of Ifa. So I started moving back to my youth. What is the Ifa? What is Yoruba culture?
It's something he's wanted to do for a long time. And when he started talking about it, I thought, this information which you've been telling me and translating to me for years isn't out there in a way that people can access it. I go to Nigeria with Lekan, we go and meet the Babalawo, and there'd be a pamphlet and you'd read it and the English didn't make any sense. So it was this sort of passion really that this needs to happen. That's when we thought, why don't we talk to Olu?
Ifa, Yoruba's ancient oracle, provides insight for all forms in and from the darkness.
I grew up in a Yoruba household and also went to Laban School to do chorological studies. I wanted to communicate transcultural fluidity, to use performative rhetoric as a way to try and communicate these ideas.
For me, it's what you hear musically within the language. The Babalawo, when they recite the Odu of Ifa, is like singing. So that has a massive influence on, because all the melodies are coming from the Babalawo direct, really, they're all traditional melodies.
If it was done in Yoruba, it would have been fascinating to people who don't understand Yoruba. Oh, it's an interesting kind of language of textures and rhythms, and you listen to the music, but the ideas wouldn't come across. So by doing it in this way, I'm saying, well, there are lots of people like myself who were born in this country who had no idea of the subtlety of the language.
When I first met Professor Dodra, it brought hope, because when I came to this country, you are not allowed to have an accent, particularly by the black British. It was a kind of a crime. You can't be an African. But now everybody is allowed to speak any language they want, communicate in any language. Their food is a language. It's a cultural language. Their clothes. So when I met him and he said, oh yeah, you're allowed to be here, I think it was a hope.
I was really interested by the fusion of culture, and yeah, it's been amazing.
So it's been the best thing we've seen in Oxford ever.
Yeah, by a long way.
What I found interesting about the project of the Yoruba Sonnets is that we here had different artists coming together from very different backgrounds, with very different linguistic heritages, different experiences of language, very much experience of language in the UK. And that we're here getting a snapshot of ways in which languages in all their diversity are part of ordinary UK life, but are also being used in highly creative, very individual forms to express unique experiences, but also to explore interactions between different cultural spheres with very deep beliefs embedded in them. And that clearly Yoruba Sonnets is a project through which the artists are exploring a culture that is to some extent familiar to them, but also in some way quite strange. And there's a kind of mediating energy going through the whole project.
I shall inherit my ancestral roots. Hey!